Before this story begins, I want to say something important. If you believe betrayal only happens between strangers, if you think family lines can never be crossed, or if you've ever trusted someone simply because they were supposed to be safe, then subscribe to this channel. These stories aren't easy to tell, but they matter. And this one changed my life forever. The story I'm about to tell isn't simple. It isn't comfortable. And it definitely isn't easy to admit out loud. It carries a storm of emotions. Love, guilt, desire, and the kind of betrayal that cuts deeper because it comes from the people you trust most. My name is Emily. And I never imagined I'd be sitting here, replaying the choices that shattered not only my marriage, but my faith in family itself. But some truths don't disappear just because they hurt. Sometimes, they demand to be told. It all began in a quiet suburban town in Texas. The kind of place where neighbors wave politely, lawns are trimmed every weekend, and everything looks perfect from the outside. I had been married to Daniel for almost 5 years. He was the kind of man people noticed the moment he walked into a room. Tall, athletic, confident. His smile had a way of making strangers feel instantly comfortable. When I met him in college, I was drawn to that energy, to how sure he seemed about life, about himself, about us. We dated for 3 years before getting married. And back then, I truly believed I had found my forever. But forever doesn't always fall apart loudly. Sometimes it crumbles quietly, piece by piece, until one day you look around and realize you're standing in the ruins. Daniel had a younger brother named Ryan. Ryan was 3 years younger, more carefree, more impulsive. Where Daniel was structured and disciplined, Ryan lived moment to moment. Daniel became an engineer. Ryan bounced from job to job. He didn't take life too seriously. And at first, that made him fun to be around. He was charming in his own way. Funny. Relaxed. Whenever he visited, the house felt louder, lighter. I never saw him as anything other than my brother-in-law. Someone I trusted by default. That assumption, that family automatically equals safe, was my first mistake. At first, nothing felt wrong. Ryan would stop by when Daniel worked late. We'd watch TV, order pizza or Chinese food. Normal things. Harmless things. We laughed at shows. Shared stories. It felt like company, not temptation. But slowly something shifted. Ryan's compliments changed. They weren't casual anymore. He'd tell me I looked beautiful. Even when I was wearing sweatpants and hadn't tried at all. He'd joke that Daniel was lucky to have me. At first I brushed it off. But deep down I felt it. That subtle tightening in my chest. The sense that a line was being approached. Even if it hadn't been crossed yet. The first moment things went too far happened on a rainy Friday night. Daniel had been called into work unexpectedly. An emergency project. Ryan showed up without warning, holding a bottle of wine. I laughed and asked if he was planning a date night for us. He smiled and said, "Why not? Daniel trusts me. And you shouldn't be alone." The wine flowed. The laughter grew louder. And beneath it all, something unspoken filled the room. When he leaned in, my mind screamed no. But my body hesitated. I pulled away quickly, saying it was wrong. And it was. But the damage had already been done. Because once a thought exists, once a possibility is acknowledged, it doesn't disappear easily. That moment lingered between us like a ghost. I told myself it was a slip. That Ryan was impulsive. That I was lonely. That it would never happen again. But temptation doesn't leave when you ignore it. It waits. And it gets louder. The line was crossed completely one evening when Daniel went out with friends to watch a basketball game. Ryan came over again. This time there was no wine. No pretending it was just company. The tension was already there. Heavy, undeniable. I should have stopped him at the door. I didn't. What happened that night became the beginning of a secret that followed me for months. Something wrong. Dangerous. And in those moments, terrifyingly exhilarating. We both knew what it was. Betrayal. And still it continued. On the surface, I remained Daniel's loving wife. I cooked his dinners. Laughed at his jokes. Held his hand in public. But inside, guilt was eating me alive. Every smile felt forced. Every touch felt stained. I avoided eye contact. And Daniel noticed. Is everything okay? He asked one night, brushing my hair aside as we sat in bed. His eyes were soft, loving, and I lied. I told him I was stressed, that work was overwhelming. He believed me, because trust doesn't question until it's broken. But lies don't survive forever. And mine ended in the cruelest way possible.